Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Keith, and today our topic is a Technics SL110A turntable. I restored this turntable about 6 months ago. My intent originally was to fix it up and sell it, but when I got done with it, I liked it so much I kept it and sold my existing turntable. Um, so what's a little bit of the history of this turntable? It came to me through the estate of a friend that had passed away. I had bought his Magnapan speakers from his sister who was handling his estate, and she threw this turntable in for nothing. It was in sad shape. The dust cover was cracked. Um, the power cord was cut or had cuts in it, exposing bare wire. Um, the um, the wiring inside the tone arm was just a mess, and where the wiring in the tone arm connected with the RCA cables was obviously it had been tried to be repaired at some point in time by somebody that didn't know what they were doing, didn't practice good soldering techniques. And the RCA cables themselves, one of them was missing a connector. Um, and the cables were only about 9 inches long, so it it made it really difficult to even test it. There was a lot of dirt on it. My friend obviously hadn't been using it, and what is it? I always say the best way to keep your vintage equipment working is to use it regularly. Uh, that's a little bit about the history. Let's kind of look at some of the features. So what makes this turntable kind of unique is um, it's a SL110A, which is a variant of Technics SL1100A turntable. And the difference is that the 110 did not come with the tone arm. Technics felt that audiophiles would want a turntable where they could have the tone arm of their choice instead of using the tone arm that Technics just installed on the 1100. So in this particular case, my friend, when he bought it, he installed a SME 3009 Series 2 improved tone arm. I know that's a mouthful, but the Series 2 has to do with this arrangement of the weights in the way the pivot area is made, and including this anti-skate weight and pulley system. And then the improvement part was for a detachable head shell. So this little coupler here, you back it off, you unscrew it slightly, and then you can pull the head shell out. And then you put the head shell back in and you tighten down. And in fact, that was one of the areas where there was a problem. Inside the end of the tone arm, there are these four spring-loaded little gold pins, and two of the springs were shot, so those pins wouldn't make continuous good contact with the head shell. And then on top of it, the wiring inside the tone arm was a mess. And there was a ground problem that was causing a hum. So if you touched the tone arm, then you'd get a 60 cycle hum. I even though the SME doesn't make this model anymore, they still retained many, just a incredible supply of spare parts, including entire tone arms, if you want to buy one. Um, so we didn't talk about the age. The 1100 series turntables were made from the late 60s to the mid 70s, and the SME 3000 Series 2, 3009 Series 2 improved tone arm. The periods overlap indicate that this tone arm combination and turntable combination dates back to somewhere between 1972 and 1975, which means that the turntable is at least 45 years old. Having said that, there was absolutely no problem with the motor or anything else. So some of the features, well, first, it's a direct drive, which means that the platter is directly connected to the motor. In fact, the platter is part of the motor, as opposed to a belt drive turntable where there's a separate motor and a belt that wraps around a capstan and then around the platter. So the motor turns the belt and the belt turns the platter. That's not the case with this turntable, and I'll show you what I mean by direct drive. There we go, and we'll just pop the platter out. So this is the platter, and this ring here actually forms part of the motor. It sits down on top of the bearings, and it helps maintain, gives the motor the mass it needs to maintain its momentum. And there it goes back down. Okay. This is a ceramic platter cover. Originally it came with a hard rubber one. The rubber, from my experience, rubber platter covers tend to generate static electricity. I've tried felt, I've tried cork, but this ceramic one on this turntable works the best for getting rid of static electricity. Some of the other features about the tone arm, there's this curved trough right here, which is a hydraulic dampening system, and it's used to dampen vibrations that are picked up by the tone arm. The turntable itself has isolating dampening feet, which when I got it, they were as hard as a rock. They wouldn't dampen anything because the rubber had gotten really hard and brittle, but soaking them in oil for a couple days and cleaning them off, then it did the trick. But the feet are made to take care of vibrations that come up through the stand that the turntable's on. The tone arm specifically, any vibrations that are picked up directly from the tone arm, from speakers or something like that, are dampened out by the hydraulic fluid that's in this little trough. The anti-skate thing. Most turntables today, they have like a little knob that you adjust for anti-skate, and sometimes it's hard to even tell that it's making any difference. But one of the tricks that you can do as kind of a general rule of thumb to see if the anti-skate is adjusted right is, put this on here, is when you position the tone arm over a groove, and then using the drop lever, you drop it. If the stylus doesn't end up in the groove that you positioned over. If it goes over one way or the other as it's being lowered, that's an indication that the anti-skate needs to be adjusted. And in this case, the anti-skate is adjusted by moving this little filament along the shaft. There's grooves where the filament can settle down into a groove, and you can also gross adjust it by changing the position of this arm that the pulley's on, so that when the arm is on, the tone arm is on the record, you want to try and keep this filament so that it is attached to this piece at a 90-degree angle. The other thing that makes us unique from other turntables is normally you have a balance weight here in the back that balances the tone arm, and then normally you would turn it in a little bit to apply the tracking force. On this turntable though, it's got an extra little weight out here, and this weight is for setting the tracking force. The length of this shaft right here is it compensates for the entire weight of the cartridge and the head shell together. So you need, when you're doing the alignment of the head shell in the tone arm, which I'll cover in a future video, you need to measure the weight of the tone arm and head shell together, and then adjust this the length of this little part of the arm accordingly, and then you adjust this part to the tracking force that you want. That about covers all the features and stuff. So why don't we put on a little record? This is a singer that I listened to when I was in high school in England. We'll hit the start button. She, at the time, she went by the name of Christine Perfect, and I know it sounds like an alias, but that was really her last name. And here we have a little bit of Christine Perfect. Quiet, no static. This is being played off my shop speakers, so it's not a direct feed in. Well, thank you for watching. If you like the video, then hit the like button. If this type of content is something you're interested in, then subscribe and hit the reminder bell so you get notified when new videos are posted. And if you have any questions or comments, then just enter them in, and I will read all the comments and answer them as appropriate. And thank you for watching the Yellow Springs Vintage Audio channel.